What's up, Alfonso Nations? Alfonso Peterman here today, and welcome to another episode of my Approaching TF5 series. This is simply a series where I discuss all the facts and rumors in regards to the upcoming Transformers movie. This is episode number 76, and in this episode we are going to do a scene-by-scene analysis of the international trailer, also known as Trailer 4, for Transformers The Last Night. So, without further ado, we're just going to jump right into it because there is quite a bit to cover and some interesting things I want to point out. So let's get to it. So it starts off in the junkyard, the same junkyard that you saw Isabella Monero running, and you see Grimlock's feet stumping down, and you see that same recycled footage from a previous trailer. And you got Mark Wahlberg talking, and you got Jared Carmichael's character talking back. He walks back, so they're kind of having a little moment in the junkyard. He tells the Grimlock to drop the cruiser, and then we've all seen how Grimlock just vomits that entire car. Mark Wahlberg falls back, Grimlock's coughing, he slams his nose on the ground, and he's like, that is an alien dinosaur. And so he was like, come on, man. So they're having this moment with Grimlock. Pretty funny moment. This is a more uplifting trailer, so it's not going to be anything like, you know, deep and intense. So yeah, and then the Paramount logo, and then you got the same thing with Isabella. Then you got an interesting scene with the TRF drones. One is falling and one is still standing, so you can tell this is in the moment, like the stages whenever they are currently trying to battle these things. They're trying to take these things out, because if not, they're going to take them out. That one was very brief, pretty cool. Got the kids running. Same thing as the covered trailer. Mark Wahlberg walks up to start shooting, and that's where you get that little shot when him shooting the pistol, and you got the drone scene. And if you look at the drone's joint, the closest one, you can see like some impact, so that may be a pistol impact that Mark Wahlberg does to shoot. But one thing I find interesting is that Mark Wahlberg does not fear these drones. He doesn't fear them. He's not trying to run from them. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be trying to escape it, but he boldly confronts it with a Cybertronian pistol. So my assumption is that these drones are not like, you know, missile drones that shoot at you. They're probably just surveillance, which is probably why they're not really that scared of them, but they are going to try to avoid them because they don't want the TRF to know where they're at. So that's kind of what I think about these drones, because I haven't seen them actually shoot anything. I could be wrong. I could have just like not seen them do it, but I've never seen it personally. Then you got the kids shouting, and you got the little Mexican kid or Hispanic kid, and he's talking about how he's gonna hotwire the vehicle to get out of there. And then you got the same footage with Bumblebee destroying the drone. It switches over to, I guess, like a shot after that happens when he's finished. He kind of like, he's in the middle, well actually it's at the end of him flipping, and so he looks, which is a pretty nice shot of Bumblebee. I like that shot. Then you got a pretty interesting scene which was not released to the public since the fan event, the IMAX fan event scene. You got Bumblebee and Mark Wahlberg. Wahlberg is on the ground, Bumblebee's walking up, and he's listening to Cockman, which is saying, "You are needed, sir, urgently." And that scene actually continues, like the reason why they're there and Mark Wahlberg's on the ground, because it's a little confusing, like why is Cockman there, why is Bumblebee way in the back, and why is Wahlberg on the ground, you know, why is he not just standing up talking to him? This was after a scene where it was a chase scene. It was a chase scene with TRF drones. Mark Wahlberg was saved by Cockman, and then Cockman walks up. This is the introduction between Cockman and Wahlberg. This is where he says, "My name is Cockman, sir, and I am here because of that, and that is here because of you. You are more important than you can possibly imagine." I mean, he says some other things too, but that's just a part of that conversation. And then in that conversation, they also, Cockman also says something which is like, I freaking love it. He goes, "My master is fond of saying that all decisions in life, no matter how long you may live, often come down to just one moment." And the epic music. I just love that scene from the fan event. But yes, we're gonna move on. By the way, I love Cockman's body sculpt. I love how they made him look more like a clockwork, almost like a what is it? Oh my god, it's at the tip of my tongue. The steampunk. He looks more steampunk than like an Autobot Transformer. He looks more like a mechanical robot built by a human that became sentient. He is a servant of Anthony Hopkins. He's a butler, he serves humans. He is human-sized, or just a little shorter. But I just really like how Cogman looks. His big blue eyes are a little weird, but I'm loving it. It's pretty cool. You got the scene with the castle, nice B-roll, and then you got Anthony Hopkins talking to Wahlberg. Same scene from the MTV footage, which is the fan event footage of him saying, "You want to know, don't you?" And then it shows over to the Hot Rod transformation, which I think was a little strange because as he transforms, you can see pieces break off of him. So I'm pretty sure Hot Rod is not, you know, falling apart like Jetfire or Bulldog. I honestly don't know why they did that. It kind of takes away from his transformation. And if you pause it on some scenes, you actually see some parts on his vehicle completely detached from the vehicle. Like, it's not even a part of it. I see parts right now on his body where while he's transforming, there's like floating parts because they forgot to attach that part to his actual body to make it look like it's transforming. So that was a very poor transformation strategy. And of course he transforms with Vivian inside and all the stuff falls out, and that's pretty cool. And so he does that cool flip thing as in the motion trailers. And of course you got the Freya dog in that scene. And then you got her trying to fight Hot Rod. He's like, you know, bring it over here, bring it. She's like trying to hit him and it barely like touches his finger and it breaks off. That's also the scene where his voice was revealed. He goes, "Little lady, no," which not what I imagined Hot Rod to sound like. We haven't really seen that many scenes with him to see how he fits, but Hot Rod is French. Hot Rod c'est français, je ne sais pas pourquoi Michael Bay décide pour faire ça, ben ça c'est qu'est-ce qu'il fait. That's a bit of Hot Rod French for you guys, but yeah, he's French. I don't know why. I don't know why he's of French origin, but he is, and he sounds weird. Moving on. Next scene, you got same thing with Hopkins, and that's all the stuff from MTV. And you got the recycle footage from the third trailer. And you got more of a good angle of Merlin going into the ship, which I like. You can actually see the circumference of how big the ship is compared to the human there. And then you have my favorite scene. One of my favorite scenes of this trailer, and that is the Knight. I believe it's Stillbane. He has some red tint on him, so I'm not 100%. But from the looks of his shoulders, it looks like it's Stillbane. And he has this staff. And it's like Merlin is standing there, right? And you got this big transformer, which is a knight, I'm 90% sure. And he has the staff, and the staff like activates in the coolest way. I was like, holy crap. And Merlin is also like, holy crap, you know? Don't know what that is. I don't know what kind of importance, but I will say it does have something to do with history. It has something to do with medieval history. If you look closely, when the staff kind of activates, if you zoom in, you can see that same circle and cross symbol that you see all over the place with the knight. So it is of knight origin. It is of medieval origin is what I'm trying to say. And so you got Merlin's like, holy crap, this is freaking insane. I believe this is when Merlin gets inside of that ship, when he goes in and he discovers that, whoa, there are like knights living in here. That could possibly be, you know, he could have walked in and, you know, the knights are in there protecting whatever might be in there, and so they're just living in there. And I think this is when the knight introduces himself to Merlin, and I believe this is where the powers were demonstrated to Merlin, which is what sparked this whole thing, this whole plot. So, love the scene, one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Of course, you got the same scene with the cross and a circle. I have to do a video with that. I have to explain to you guys what that means. Then you got war, battlegrounds, just chaos. Beautiful explosions when the fireball lands there. I mean, you got a lot going on. Then you got some melee combat going on with swords and shields, so it's a lot of medieval action. And then you have, what's his face? The legend himself. You got Anthony Hopkins, also known as Edmund Burton, inside of the same room, by the way, that was in the Secret History trailer, because you got that same fireplace in the back, you got that same globe, and that same photo in the front. It's the same background, so that's the same scene. That's his room, with the Dark of the Moon pillar, with with all those cool pictures that I broke down for you guys in the Secret History trailer. And guess what he's saying? It's the room of the Secret History trailer, and Edmund Burton is saying the secret history of the Transformers. So it goes hand in hand. Then you got Dragonstorm. He is flying in what I think is Scotland. It looks like Scotland. It looks like it's the same relative location as in the very first teaser when he was flying down. It looks like he was flying off of a cliff. But yeah, Dragonstorm is just randomly flying in Scotland. Like, he's just randomly taking a stroll. Man, I would love, like, if I was a Transformer, I would love to fly like that. Just, I got these big wings and I can just take a stroll, man. That's so cool. But then, yeah, guys, you got that scene. Recycled footage, overly recycled footage of the Knights of the Round Table and the Cybertronian Knights concluding their assembly. Same thing with Cybertron. Actually a very much clearer version of Cybertron coming towards the moon, but really coming towards Earth, but it's crossing the moon. And then the next scene, you got the same thing with Optimus Prime, and he's looking at the Quintessa and he's turning evil. The ultimate controversy. Then you got a scene underwater, which is very interesting to me because this does not look like the same thing that the submarines were going into. This looks like Cybertron because you see fire. Like, this was just involved in something intense. I think this is probably a piece of Cybertron that fell underwater and now the fire is still going off. Very nice scene. I know it's Cybertron because I can see the hexagon shape. Cybertron, hexagon, Cybertron, hexagon. Then you got Mark Wahlberg in the ship, I assume. Same footage as before. Then you got some new footage. Finally some new footage, right guys? You got Optimus Prime and he has a sword, but this is when he's evil. And there's a Cybertronian knight in front of him. He appears to be alive. He has very beady eyes. So, you know, he has a lot of room for eyes, but it's just 2 dots, so it's a lot creepy. And he has that same cross and circle on his chest. Yes, like his body sculpt is more like a knight sculpt. And Optimus Prime just takes his sword and just jabs it from behind of the knight. Now, I'm not 100% sure that Optimus Prime stabbed him, because when you look at it, it just looks like the sword went in between the gap, in between his shoulder pad and his head. It looks like it just kind of like, you know, scraped in between, not actually stabbed him or punctured him. It's a little difficult. There's a lot of sparks flying, so, and it's a really quick scene, but that happens, and then you see Optimus Prime like, yeah, I just did that because I'm evil now. What you gonna do? By the way, love that shot. That's a robust shot. Look at his freaking arms. Like, not the the biceps too, but like look at the forearm and the fist. Like, that's thick. Like, the dude is built. Optimus Prime's a built bot. Like, you have to. It's gonna take all of those fights in this next film to kill him off. Moving on. Directed by Michael Bay, recycled footage, and then you got Bumblebee, and my favorite shot of Bumblebee is thus far, honestly. He flips around and he stops himself, and he has this awesome Forge of Solus Prime, and he puts his battle shield on. That is when you don't mess with Bumblebee. I'm sorry. When Bumblebee puts his battle shield on, you might as well write your living will. Plan your funeral engagements. You might as well pick your suit. When Bumblebee puts on his battle shield, I mean, this is proven all throughout the trilogy. When he puts on that shield, he means business. He's not playing around. It's like Psycho Dad. When he puts his hat on, he's going to destroy some game consoles, you know? This is great. Like, when I saw that, I was like, okay, Optimus Prime, you need to not mess with him, because if you look at the previous, you know, fighting sequences with Bumblebee fighting Prime, it's always him with no battle shield. So this is probably after all of those scenes when you see Optimus Prime throwing him down and he's like knocking him with a hammer, but nothing's working, okay? So I think this is when Bumblebee is just like fed up. He's like, okay, you know what? I'm done with you. And he just puts on that battle shield and he is going to handle Prime. I believe he means business right here, and from this moment on, it's not going to be easy to take down the Golden Warrior. I love me some Bumblebee. And then you see, I think a pre-shot, because he doesn't have the battle mask on, he actually throws the entire Forge at Optimus. This is gonna be an insane fight, you guys. I mean, like, he didn't even hold it, because Optimus can grab it, but the dude, Bumblebee, takes it and just throws the whole hammer. Like, what kind of... And it does hit Optimus, it does do damage, it's just crazy. Then you got Optimus slamming him down, and you got Bumblebee scared, you know, the same scene, recycle footage, recycle footage. You got a cool chase scene snippet of Bumblebee and Barricade, and Mark Wahlberg's like, alright B, you gotta have some skills today, bro. This is the time. And then you got the cool scene with Bumblebee, half of him transforming so that his arm can come out with the gun as the chase scene is going on. And that is, oh my god, that's lovely. Mark Wahlberg falls out, and then you can kind of see the cannon coming from, like, coming from on top of Mark Wahlberg, like sweeping over him to shoot Barricade in the next scene. Now also, if you look, okay, this scene with Mark Wahlberg hanging out of Bumblebee initially was shot with no car door, okay? But if you look in a corner, that looks like a transformed car door. Like the car door was like brought back. It was like retracted while he was transforming his arm out. So maybe the car door, this part was like added with CGI, and the initial, you know, filming was not with the door. And so, you know, I think this may be before the fight with Prime. This may be the London battle, which is before, like, the whole ship Optimus, Bumblebee, Water, Mark Wahlberg, Excalibur fight. This is probably before that. Or after. Because, remember, Bumblebee can come back together. So he can just go, shoot, shoot. And the doors are back, you know? I mean, I'm gonna get to that. But yeah, that's a cool scene. Moving on, he shoots Barricade really bad. Like, he shoots him. This is more of an extended shot of that cannon blast. You can see while Barricade is driving, Bumblebee fires at him, which I believe is the first time a Transformer fires with his arm while he's driving. I don't ever remember that. That's a new move right there. That's some new choreography. So he shoots him, pretty good POV, and you can see if you pause it, there's a big gap, or there's a lot of impact under Barricade, under the car version. And of course he starts to transform. So I believe this is the scene where Bumblebee and Barricade, the chase ends, and this is where they start going melee. They start fighting in the streets. And Mark Wahlberg is just dropped off. And then this is whenever, like, the true rematch starts, is because Barricade transforms, and I'm sure Bumblebee may do the same thing. Cool thing. You got the TRF drones coming down in the next scene. You got Jared Carmichael's character, like, holy crap. And then it shoots him. So I'm like, wait, did he die? Because that's, I mean, I thought the drones, you know, they shoot bullets. Apparently not. Apparently it's a beanbag. He flies back, and then he's like, dude, I love you, man. I'm dying. He's like, dude, it's a freaking beanbag. Like, just calm down. Let's get back to it. You got Hound, and you got Isabella. You got Hound and the soldiers at the very bottom, and he's firing at God knows what. And then you got the ship coming out of the ocean, and you see a lot of damage to it, so you know it was probably crash landed into the ocean. It probably took that damage before even landing in the ocean initially, but you can actually see it come out of the ocean, and it's actually lifting up. So yeah, this is a ship. And this is the same platform that you see Bumblebee and Optimus Prime fight on. And then you see the one that everyone's talking about. The big scene, the big reveal. Quintessa and her face and her eyes. Now, I just want to say this about Quintessa, okay? Number one, look at her eyes. Look closely at her eyes. Are her eyes blue, or are her eyes purple? The answer is, they're both. She has blue eyes, you can see the rim, but in the center, like her very pupil, it's more purple. And you can even see purple flares coming out the side. So she's a mixture of blue and purple. Now who else is a mixture of blue and purple eyes that you can think of? Let me just take a guess. it just might be the last Prime. So we have seen Optimus Prime with blue eyes, and then he transitions to purple. But then she has purple and blue eyes. So what's going on here? Why? First of all, if Optimus Prime turns evil, think about this. Really think about this. If he turns evil, does his eyes have to change? No. Matter of fact, do Transformers have control over how their eye color looks? Absolutely not. And how do I know that? Because we had Decepticons who became Autobots. We had Jetfire who became an Autobot. We had Wheelie who became an Autobot. If they really became an Autobot, which they did, they would have obviously changed their eye color to blue. If they had that ability. If they could do that. You know, Jetfire would gladly change his eyes to blue because he's on the Autobot side. But he couldn't. It stayed red. So you have to think about it. Do the Transformers have control on what color their eye is going to be? The answer, in my opinion, is no. I don't believe they have control over it. It's a part of them. It's like us trying to control our eye color. What is that? We can do the laser surgery, we can do contacts or whatever, but we cannot just organically sit here and change the color of our eyes with our eye muscles or something, you know, with the veins. It's impossible. So something's happening to Prime to make his eyes change. And if something's making his eyes change, and it's when he's looking dead at Quintessa's eyes, I can't say anymore. But think about that. Have that in mind. But this is a beautiful shot of Quintessa. I love her face sculpt. She's not like made of like metallic parts that transform. She's more of a morph kind of like you know, robot. But yeah, pretty nice reveal of Quintessa. Moving on, you got Canopy dying, you got Isabella crying. You got the missiles flying. Oh my god, I could keep going with this. They're probably shooting at what you see next, which is the roots of Cybertron, or whatever that thing is. I think that's the roots, or it's an extension of Cybertron, definitely. You got a beautiful shot of like the helicopters falling down, crash landing, and you also have, if you look on the left side, you see the two drone ships that I believe is the same drone ships that you see with Bumblebee and Hot Rod flying them. So I believe Bumblebee and Hot Rod was probably providing air support in the final battle. That's what I believe. I believe at a certain point, Bumblebee and Hot Rod is providing air support. So those military choppers are probably TRF, and so they're probably helping the humans by, you know, hijacking the drone and taking over the air while the rest of the Autobots take over the land. Yeah, that makes sense. So, that's cool. You got an extended view of that explosion. This June, Megatron, a close-up of Megatron. Pretty cool. And then you got that epic moment where Megatron fires off. It looks like he's in the junkyard. Now, this is a scene where I believe Megatron's in the junkyard. Not the desert, the junkyard. Because you see a bunch of wrecked cars around him. So could this be Megatron fighting Grimlock? Because Grimlock is in the junkyard. That's where he stays for some reason. This could be Megatron firing at Grimlock, or this could be Megatron firing at Cave Yeager, you know? Maybe Megatron discovered where they were, and an Autobot like Bumblebee or somebody came and they got him, and they tried to escape, and Megatron's firing off as they run away. Who knows what's going on in this scene? But that's a pretty epic scene. You gotta admit, of Megatron firing off his cannon. Same recycle footage, and you got the extended version of that footage with debris falling. You got Linux, you got a beautiful scene. I can't wait till IMAX. I can't wait till I see this in IMAX. But you got a beautiful scene of the, you know, the air battle. You got the air battle with all this stuff with the roots, and you got the ships, and you got explosions. Then you got the ground battle with the soldiers and Hound firing off his minigun. And, you know, Optimus Prime going nuts everywhere. So you have two different things going on, air and ground. So it kind of shifts between the two. And then you got same scene, recycle footage, and you got what looks like Optimus Prime fighting an Infernicon. It looks pretty big, but it's pretty fragile. So I doubt that's Infernicus. Infernicus is probably a whole lot larger. But this particular bot that Optimus Prime is like coming down on has horns. So it could be an Infernicon. I'm pretty sure it's an Infernicon. And he swipes it, and the thing breaks into like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Multiple pieces. Like, he breaks into pieces, which is crazy. And you got another scene with that beautiful swipe, and I love that angle at the bottom of the Infernicons getting beheaded by the last Prime. And then you got her screaming, and then you got Optimus Prime, and he's you know, swimming down. He's going for a swim, cowabunga. And you got, I think that's Cade right there, so there's a lot going on. And you got the scene I'm tired of looking at, of Isabella saying, we're gonna stay and fight them. Okay, you know what? How about you actually do that and stop announcing it? Then you got the epic scene with Megatron versus Hound. Like, what in the heck is going on? There's a lot of odd versus battles here. Megatron versus Hound, and then you got Hot Rod running up back there. Now, I don't believe that this is a final battle, but if I had to pick who's gonna win this battle, I mean, it's kind of obvious. Megatron's gonna win this. You got a Gladiator from Cybertron. This guy's built. The only one that was able to destroy Megatron was the Allspark, which doesn't count because that created everything, and Optimus Prime, which, you know, is equally as strong, or that's debatable. But you got Hound, who's not really a melee fighter. He doesn't fight with melee or swords. He fights with guns. So you got a melee battle with a melee master and a melee amateur. But you got Hot Rod there, so he may provide some reinforcements, or he might be going towards another bot that could be involved in this battle. Pretty interesting stuff though. I'm loving it. Cade is screaming. More Isabella. And then you got an interesting scene with Grimlock and Barricade. Like, Barricade had no chance. He had no chance. All he did was walk up, and immediately Grimlock just like does an immediate tail swipe, and then he comes around with the fire. So yeah, Grimlock versus Barricade, I think we know who wins that battle. And then you got, you know, Cade not only falling, but the dude's bouncing. The dude's like, it reminds me of the falling scene in Dark of the Moon with Sam and the big, you know, the whole building that was falling down because of the driller. A lot of falling scenes. And then in the next scene you have Bumblebee driving up, but you have some like something shooting at him, is what it appears to be. Now I believe this is the same scene when Bumblebee saves Mark Wahlberg, when he saves Cade Yeager, same thing. Because in this fan event footage, Cade Yeager was seen walking in this little trail yard. And you can see those same, like, you know, the train track on top of him. He was walking there, and in the fan event footage, that's whenever the TRF found him and they surrounded him, and then he had to put his hands up like in the trailer, and then, you know, all that happened. Well, I believe this is when Bumblebee discovers Cade and tries to save him, and then the TRF is trying to fight Bumblebee, obviously, because they're douchebags. And so Bumblebee literally, which is the coolest thing, he just transforms while he's spinning. But then in the other shot, he's breaking apart. So maybe they're shooting some heavy missiles at him. You can see a lot of the sparks flying off of him. So there's a lot of things going on. They're trying to blow him to pieces. But Bumblebee does something that I literally... my last the last thing on my mind. He did what was least expected. He broke into pieces. You see his head on the ground, and then you see, you know, Santiago Cabrera's like, what is that? And Yeager's like, a big mistake. And literally the dude reassembles. Now, I don't know about you guys. It looks cool. I agree. This thing looks epic. It looks cool. I love how it looks. It's insane. I can't wait to see this in the big screen. But in the context of the character, I have to say I don't like that. I don't really like that. I don't like how Bumblebee can just break apart. You know, I'm gonna just explain why, okay? Hold on, let me just make sure this is all, yeah, you got the pieces coming back together, and then Bumblebee puts his head on, and you got a soldier hanging off of him, and yeah, and you got the same scene where he's like, bum bum, on his chest, and that's the end of that. But let's talk about Bumblebee for a moment. You see, the Transformers, they are aliens. They are from another world. So when you think of an alien, you shouldn't think of them to look like us, because they're not like us. They are from another world. So they may look totally different. But in this particular movie with the Transformers, these guys are personified, which means that even though they're aliens and they're from another world, they still have human characteristics, right? They have 2 arms, 2 legs, the same proportions as we have. They look like us, just big metal versions of us. You see what I mean? So they have 1 head, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, and they can talk English. I mean, they are literally us, but just a robotic Cybertronian form. So if that's the case, if that's what they're doing, why would he be able to break apart? I'm sorry, how would he be able to break apart and come back together when we can't do that? If we are blown to pieces as humans, in loving memory, you know, rest in peace. But in this one, the dude just comes back. So to me, in my mind, when a limb comes off, it's off. Like Optimus Prime in Dark of the Moon. He can't just like, oh yeah, like you can't just attach. It's damage. It's a limb broken. You can't just, you know, attach it. And even if you could do that, you know, it's like he's magnetically connected. His joints are connected to each other magnetically, because they just automatically just attract. I honestly don't like it. I love how it looks. Don't get me wrong, folks. I love how it looks. It looks cool. I'm gonna love looking at that. That's gonna be so awesome. But in context of reality, or just in context of movie logic, it doesn't make sense to me. And it's gonna ruin the whole thing for me with Bumblebee. If he does that throughout the film, I'm not gonna like that. Unless there's a long-term purpose for that. There's a reason why he's able to do that, or like, you know, unless there's a reason why he has to do that. Whatever, but that is the trailer, the international trailer, the 4th trailer of the last night. I am loving it. It's more uplifting and upbeat and like gets you real more excited than like, you know, Frozen, like, oh my god, holy crap. But it was still cool. I really love Quintessa's face. I love Bumblebee's reassembly. I love how it looks. Not really loving how it really makes sense. And yeah, I'm loving Megatron in this trailer particularly. So thank you guys for watching. That's my trailer reaction. If you like the video, drop a like on it. If you got something to say, comment section below. If you're new, subscribe, and I thank you for your support. So thank you for watching. My name is Alfonso, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.